Hello, myself Sunil R Nair. Here basically we are talking about the topic that is earthquake data. And earthquake connects to directly to the death data. And if earthquake is not coming, that means the data is basically not, it's basically for safe data. Then one of the person asked the question basically. The earthquake basically minimum magnitude basically always comes basically, right? Then he told that yes basically. Then he told that in city basically daily basically few people dies. Then he told that yes basically. So that is earthquake na basically. Through earthquake only basically the data are passed basically, and the earthquake comes through power supply only basically. Few data basically comes from satellite, which basically power supply basically can't basically give the data to that group basically, because they are up to that much powerful basically. But that people death was compulsory, so they basically satellite group basically pass the direct data to them, and then basically they dies basically. That basically very rare happens. Few people directly contact to the satellite also basically. Up to that much powerful people basically are there, they basically prepares their area in satellites in universe, and then basically they save their life basically. They basically save their life because they have the money na basically. If they have the money, then basically why they can't use that basically. Like this basically things are there. So like this basically things are there. So one of the person told that basically, 2 weeks basically, just now you told that basically 2 weeks basically takes time to prepare the death data for the power company, because they prepares, they checks the data, that physically fear that physically they checks also basically. You just see basically the power company physically checks the data, that the death data basically which we are going to pass, that person exists there or not basically, because it might possible that basically he might not be in the home. So just see up to what level the data basically are sent, and up to what level the physical verifications are done. How basically they do that basically there, that day only basically they do the verification. The day basically which is the day basically when he is going to die, that day only basically they do the verification that this person exists or not basically. So how they might be doing that basically, it's very difficult to say, because they have a lot of controls. For example, uh, this light you can say, yes basically I can see. So they can see particular person from that basically power company basically, through this light basically, through this basically lights basically. Up to that much power basically the power company have basically. Up to that much power the power company basically have. So like this basically they do the physical verification. So up to what dangerous things basically are basically. It's not dangerous basically, but it's very dangerous basically. It's very dangerous to basically tell also basically, because this type of information basically, this type of information basically in websites basically lots of information basically are available, but that are basically the technical format. Technical format means in medical language, in satellite language, but this is basically in simple language basically. That earthquake basically create data created by the Oxford group, only Oxford group have the authority to create the earthquake data, and they basically keeps on changing the earthquake data also basically, because reason basically might be lots of things basically. Reason, for example, one of the person told that pneumonia death data is ready basically. Do you want that basically? Do you want the brain tumor data? Do you want the chikungunya data? Do you want the malaria data? Do you want the heart attack data? Do you want this data? Do you want that data? Like this basically the Oxford group stocks basically, that basically are in Mumbai basically. Mostly basically they are in the Andheri city, Andheri area basically, where basically the Oxford group basically exists. Their dictionary exists basically. They have the word basically of the combination, that this data basically is equal to this, and this data basically connects to this disease. This data is this, and this data is connects to disease death data. That disease you already have, and that disease ka death data. So just see up to what level things basically are basically. One of the person told that basically Oxford Group basically have, if Oxford Group basically have this much power basically, right? Then up to what level money basically they might be earning. One France like company basically is earning 20 to 30,000 crore from one small data. These groups basically are preparing the data basically. So up to what level this basically group might be earning basically. So one of the person told that basically minimum they might be earning 1 lakh crore rupees minimum basically, because they have the power na basically. But then they can't use the misuse of the power basically. They can't misuse the power basically. If they misuse the power, then basically the satellite group immediately will take that power basically. They will track that basically and they will immediately take that power basically. Then basically they can't do anything basically. So like this basically things are basically there. So nobody misuse the data basically. Few prime ministers say that basically don't misuse my data basically. That they literally say to their family members basically. So that type of thing basically are also basically there basically. So one of the person told that यार earthquake data मतलब क्या है मतलब ये what is this earthquake data basically, up to what depth level this earthquake data basically are here, up to what level the depth of the sorry the data of the depth earthquake data basically are connected to the depth level data. Then how basically they get the information that that particular person is suffering from pneumonia, that particular person is suffering from diabetes, that person is suffering from chikungunya? How they basically gets the information? That basically is the thing, na basically. Because the each and every power, each and every house basically power supply basically are connected, right? Basically, then it was that they basically takes the data from that only basically. Immediately they gets the data, and according to that basically the earthquake happens. If any person basically is disease basically having some disease, he basically spoils the environment basically. So France group basically say that basically we had tracked that person basically, he is basically spoiling the environment, so they immediately pass the death issue basically, that is the death warrant basically we can say. So they are basically who basically that basically not supposed to tell basically. So but they try to solve the problem basically. They will say basically whether we can save that particular person or not, we can give him medicine or not. If they can give the medicine, then they immediately give the medicine, otherwise they basically issues the death data, because they say that basically 900 crore population basically are there, so we can't wait for one person basically. So they immediately basically issue the death data basically, because they have got the power now basically, up to what level they basically they can do basically. So just see basically up to what level things basically are connected basically, up to what level the things basically are connected. Yeah, basically it's very difficult basically. Each and every things basically are very difficult basically. Each and every things basically are very difficult. So one of the person told that yes, here basically it's very dangerous basically. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about the earthquakes data, and the Oxford University basically they might be earning minimum that is 1 lakh crore basically per day.